This is a kind of a test setup, so bear with me here. Hopefully it's not too bad. This might be a little shaky when I hit the table, but it's what I got. So I decided to do some, hanging out and down here in my little basement work area. Hey Dave, what's up? 15 what? Oh, thank you, Dave. That's awesome. Thank you so much. But yeah, it is pretty cool. I'm just trying to get some, a little bit of, bear with me here. I'm trying to get all of the things on the screen so I can see it. Thank you for that, Dave. Thank you, nerd. You guys are gonna toaster? No, this is a, these are power boards from a gamegear. This is where the battery and, power hookup, I'll show you. Like in the back of a gamegear, this is the inside shell. This is like the sound area. And right here is where the power board would go. And you can see like this is the battery door right here. Right inside there, this little guy would sit. You can see how that spring would fit in there. And it's part of the power. And the Game Gears have a separate power board for, their power and sound, which is actually really cool they did that. Anyhow, right now I'm fixing power boards because these are still good, but a lot of these old caps get real crusty and they don't put out the right voltage after a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just be replacing the caps and then testing the voltage. Unfortunately, I can't show you my voltmeter, but I am working on a way to do that. But I can tell you, yeah, it's running, a proper, the pins should do certain things. There should be 35 volts on one pin and then 5 on 2 others. That's really it. So I'll do my best to keep this in frame. And like I said, it might not sound the best right now. I'm in a basement. I tried to pretty it up as best I could. This is my little work area in my basement. I have like a whole bench here. And I have this. This is the actual, you see it right here, scope. This is a microscope that's mounted on a boom arm that I can, so you guys can see what I'm working on. And I can zoom in and such. Anyhow, soldering iron's heated up. First thing I like to do is we got to get some caps. This cap here is the one I start with. That's the big boy. That should be a 68 microfarad, or you can say UF, some people do, but I'm sorry, 820 microfarad, 6.3 volt. We got to get that guy out and put a new one in. These nice, sexy Panasonic, I believe they are, or maybe they're saying, I don't know, they're good ones. And that's really it. So the first thing I like to do is get a little bit of flux on that cap. This is flux. Let me see if I can get that in there. It just helps like solder bond better. It's like a little liquid thing. And, I'm just going to get it on there, and it kind of helps with getting those solder points loose, at least for me. Sometimes a little fresh solder also. I'm using, I don't know, this is 0.8 millimeter solder. I think this has lead in it, but it works really well. I don't care. But that's what I'm using. That's my favorite solder. It's Wizzo Wizard. And I'll just get it hot a little bit, and you'll see it doing its smoking. Gets a little hot, and that's okay. I'm just going to get that flux going on there. And, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. I'm not by no means an expert. Denver in our group is the solder ninja, but I'm not terrible. I'm putting some fresh flux on there. Solder, to kind of work into the joints and everything, and it helps heat it up. Trying to keep that in frame there. I'm putting a little pressure at my finger, and it moved. That's good. That's what we want. We'll do it again. A little pressure with my finger. And if you get a Game Gear and you don't recap it, you're crazy, because the caps that are on the Game Gear are complete ass. Like they're terrible. They're there. See, it just fell right out. Boop. That cap's out now. You can see that is let me see if I can get this in here for you. Right, there is a reading on it for what it is, and you can see it's kind of hard to see. 6.3 820 microfarad. Here. So now you can see that cap is gone. I took it out. The next thing we're going to want to do is clean that up. We can't just leave it like that. That's yucky. So I use isopropyl alcohol, but I actually... Oh, I just punched my microphone. Sorry, guys. I actually just picked up this flux cleaner from Micro Center the other day, and I'm going to try that out because this is supposed to be pretty good. Just give it a little squirt. It won't hurt anything. I like to take a toothbrush and kind of give it a little scrub-a-dub, because flux is sticky and gross. So I'll give that a scrub-a-dub, cleaning all that goop off, and we should have a clean, the vias should be clean, little holes where the caps go through. So let's take our new cap. And like I said, these are the power boards for the Game Gears. The other components tend to be fine. The coils, even the little IC there, those two other little components, they don't really go bad. I mean, but caps, these electrolytic caps dry up. And again, don't use a Game Gear unless you recap them. Unless you got some like amazing quality, you know. So you can see the polarities marked on there. I don't know if you guys can see that little plus right there, but there is a plus. And the longer leg on a capacitor is going to be your positive, and the shorter leg is the negative. They're also marked with that little dash, but almost always the leg that's longer is your positive. So we're going to put that in there. Sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate. You can see that the hole sealed up again. The solder kind of flowed in there, and that's okay. We're just going to go back and hit it with some heat. Sometimes that'll pop it open, and then we can also use the solder sucker and try to get some of that to come out of there. If not, we'll just have to apply more heat. Oop, it's coming, it's coming. The other hole was kind of not clean, so I'm trying to get this guy. And it looks really nasty when you're doing this, but when you're done, it's great. Come on, baby. Open up for me. You know, sometimes you just gotta keep trying. All right, let me flow this again. More solder in there. Gotta keep trying and keep swooping it out like this. And then sometimes what I do if I don't want to feel like waiting is I will just take the cap and I will line up the polarity and get it in there, and then I'll just touch the other leg, like kind of hold it there and just heat it and tap it. And what'll happen is it'll just push the leg through, see? And I'll just use that solder that was there because I'm not going to sit here and fight with it. And I've given it a nice push. And I'm going to fold these legs over to the side. And that's, you know, the cap's in there. And then we just take a little bit of solder. I'm going to flux it again because I want that solder to hold nice. And I'm going to give it a tap. You don't need much. Just a little bit. I shake a lot, but you know what? Whatever. I can still get the job done. That's just my awesome nervous system. And there. And then once you get... Put my soldering iron on the holder. Once you get that on there, you're going to fold those legs back a little bit. And you, obviously you don't leave them. And I use a pair of nice side cutters. And I'm just going to... Holding the thing so it doesn't go flying across the room. I'm going to nip off this metal. Throw that away. Nip off this metal. Throw that away, and what do you know? That cap's done. So that cap's now in. You give it a little push, make sure it doesn't move, and it's solid. I mean, that look good. And then you just keep doing that. You move on to the next cap, next cap. But it's usually that main cap that's the problem. So I'm drinking some bubbly, sparkling water right now. Let's see. Now we got to do a 25 volt, 100 microfarad, or UF, people say again. You can use a higher voltage cap as long as the microfarads are rated the same. So it could be like a 35 volt 100 microfarad. It'll work fine. Never go below voltage. However, there are some instances where you have to use the exact type of cap, and I don't remember what that is, but it's just certain things, but not almost never. So now I need to get my 100 UF. I think I already have some 100 UFs I set aside somewhere. Yes, and grab out a 100. We always double check. You don't just grab it and assume it's right. So we got the 100 UF. Let me see if I can get in camera. 100 UF, and it's 25 volt. There it is, 25 volt. That's the exact match for that cap right there. The other cap is going to be a, if I remember correctly, that's a, I don't want to say it without looking because I always, no, that's a 35 volt 22, which we do have. I don't know if it's in this kit here. I have. We need a 25. We need a 22. So those are in my other one. I believe it's over here. So right here we have a 25 UF 20 right there, 22 microfarad, 25 volt, third one over. Let's open it up. There it is. I'm gonna try to let you guys see this. I mean, I could zoom in. You could see it. 22 microfarad and 25 volts. Perfect. We got our caps. So now we can keep working on this guy. I like having little music on in the background while I work, even if it's just like generic techno music. All right, so let's start with this 100 microfarad here. So we got these 2 points here. I'm putting a little flux on there, a little fluxy flux just like before, grabbing my soldering iron. I'm using this really fancy robot, about 500 degrees I'm running. It's like this little fancy all-in-one soldering iron. I prefer it now. I used to use like the ones that were hooked to those big blocks, but now I just use this little stick one, and you know what? It's so much better. Sometimes you can tap these, like you can heat this up and kind of tap the board and they'll move down, like that leg just moved. Or you can heat them both evenly and kind of push them down with the soldering iron. That's something else you can do. I don't have a whole lot of success with that though on the power boards, but on things like the game gears, like LEDs and stuff, you can just tap them right out. So we're gonna try to get this boy out here. He's already coming out. I didn't even need to use the solder sucker. It's about to see, it just fell out. Yeah, I just held it upside down and it just fell out. It was just like boop. So that guy just fell right out. I'll try to keep looking at the chat in case somebody says something. It doesn't make a sound on this one when somebody says something, but again, I threw this together. This is a very jank setup, but if it works, right? I'll get better at it as I do this more with this camera. And then I'm going to hold it there, and then I'm going to try my butt off to just push these guys through, because sometimes it's the only way to get these caps to get through. I'm not going to sit here and, you know, use the solder sucker for 3 hours. I do have a solder pump thing, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to work with. Come on through. Are you coming through or what? Almost. We're getting there. There it is. Welcome to your new home. And I'm trying to push this through here where you guys can see it, but see how they're coming through? It's like it grew like a flower right out of there. See? Make sure there's no bridging on the. Make sure there's no bridging between these 2 points, because I see a little bit of bridging there, so that's not good. There. No bridging. We're good. And the solder, I just basically reused the solder that was already there. I told him he could keep it. Alright, so that cap's in. That power board, almost done. We just got to do this little guy here. This one almost always, and I'll use the flux cleaner in a minute. This one almost always gives me problems. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know why. This specific cap is a pain in my ass. I'm going to try to just pull this one out. There we go. And I'm probably just going to push it through on this one too. Like I said, I'll clean up as much as I can, but sometimes it's just a real pain in the butt to go through and get every bit of solder out of there, you know? There's no point. Alright, so it seems to have more suction on it than that one. That's a new one. It works good for like... Yeah, see this old one? You could hear it. It's got so much more power behind it. You're like... it just shoots up. It almost shoots out of my hand. It's so strong. It's coming. It's eating right through that, sucking it right out. Watch. Boom. I think I got clear holes now. Yeah, so that's clear now. Yeah, I'll just stick to using my old faithful here. This solder sucker, I've had this thing forever, and it works so good. This one's for more like precision, small. I don't know. It works. It just doesn't have as much suction as this other one. It was like $2. It's not like I broke the bank on it. All right, last cap for this guy. Long leg's positive. We're gonna put the long leg in the positive side. You can see the plus right there. Long leg of the cap in positive. Short leg is negative. Push it down. As I'm putting it in, I'm looking at it. I see 22 UF. I see 25 volt. That's correct. Again, you want to make sure because you'll always want more suction. Just feels better. Depends. Alright, so we're going to tap this in. Real quick. Quick tappy, tippy, tappy. Make sure we're not bridging. No bridges. That's good. No bridges in this. We want that nice space in between the two components you don't want to short. That would be bad news. And it looks good. So yeah, and it's shiny like that because I cleaned it. I can doll it out once but I mean, this board was kind of crusty. So I have a whole pile of these to do because it's good to keep them. Although we do clean juice mods, it's nice to keep around these power boards because we can use them for other, if we don't want to mod them, but recap them, you know, so they work like they did when they were new. This is how you do it. So that's recapped. That's it. That's all it took to do through those 3 caps. Again, I always start with the big one, and I kind of work my way in like a backwards C here. So these are my these go to my voltmeter here, and I'm gonna see what it reads. But first things first, I need to plug in power to this. This is a Game Gear power supply. It's also Genesis too. They use the same thing. You kick it on. It's not going to do anything. You turn it on. I mean, it's just like, okay, there's nothing there. So this first pin here should be 35 volts. And the ground, I believe, is like right here. So I'm going to hit that ground. I'm trying my best to show you this. There, that between those 2 pins, those are both ground. Let me hit this. And I'm getting 35.1. So yes, that is working beautifully. My meter says 35.1. So it's putting out proper. So let's check. We gotta switch these. So now let's check the 5 volt rail. So this is these 2 are ground. These 2 are 5 volts. These last 2 pins where the red is. And let's see what we get. So hopefully we get a 5 volt on that. Oh yeah, 5.06. Beautiful. It was not reading that before. Before it was reading 3.8 volts. So now we have fixed the, oh yeah, 5. This one's a little bit higher, but not bad. It's 5.808, sorry. So but it's 5 volts. I mean, it's actually kind of moving between that 7 and 8. It's fine. It's 5 volts strong on both sides. And those other 2 are like VBAT and data stuff, so you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, we now know that this power board is good. And what I do when they're good, and I know I've capped them and done everything, is I will find a little spot some here where I put up with a marker. I like to do it where no one's going to see it, and that's on the inside of here. And I'll do a little check on it, just a little check like that, little swoop. And I know from my personal pile of these that this has been recapped and checked, and it's good to go. So, like I said, when we're selling these things, eventually we'll be selling them online too. They will be proper, you know, done and checked and ready to be safe in your system. So you don't have to worry about, you know, anything goofing up your hardware, your expensive modded, you know, game gears and nomads and all that stuff. We recap everything